And after his reckless policies killed thousands of nursing home residents, Governor Andrew Cuomo actually had the gall to say this of red state governors.
I say to them all, look at the numbers. You played politics with this virus and you lost. You told the people of your state and you told the people of this country, White House, don't worry about it. Just open up, go about your business. This is all democratic hyperbole. Oh, really? Now you see 27 states with the numbers going up, and they were in denial, and denial is not a life strategy.
Now, he's mocking states like Florida and Texas, which, despite a rise in infections, are not seeing a spike in deaths. Texas has only 8 COVID deaths per 100,000 people, ranking 43rd out of 50 states, and Washington, D.C. and New York, well, they have 161 deaths per 100,000, 20 times more than Texas, and ranking first in the country. Here to respond, Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. Lieutenant Governor, as cases rise, Texas is stepping on the brakes a bit with moving into the next phases and so forth. But should numbers like the ones we just laid out provide context to this conversation of increasing infection numbers?
Well, first of all, Governor Cuomo is probably the biggest fraud who holds that position in the country. He had about 6,000 people die in nursing homes. We've had less than 1,000, and that's on top of the other people who have died in New York. He shortchanged the people in New York, and he cost people their lives. And how dare him come on and point his finger at any other governor in the state for what he did. He killed people in New York, and I'll say it clearly because of his policies of shipping people in nursing homes. In Texas, Laura, we have seen a spike in cases. We expected that because we're now testing almost 35,000 a day. We're testing in more of our 254 counties than we were before. So we expected those numbers to go up. Our hospitalizations are up. But here's the good news. The good news is we're not seeing it translate to the ICU unit or into fatalities. So over the last 8 days, we've had 47, 29, 28, 10, 17 people pass. Every life is valuable. But with the spike in cases and the spike in hospitalizations, the firewall so far is at the ICU units. I talked to one major hospital chain, Laura, last night. In March, their death rate compared to positivity was almost 12%. In May, it was 9%, and this month it's 5.9. Here's the point. The numbers are high, but there's a lot to be very optimistic about. We're very concerned, being very careful, but to be very optimistic about, because these are mostly younger people who are in the hospitals for half the time that they were in March. They're getting out and they're healthy. They're not going to the ICU unit. And by the way, I want to straighten out some misinformation that's been all over the media in Texas and America. We are not out of ICU beds in Texas. We have 7,200 ICU beds available. Of those, we have 1,400 with COVID. 7,200 and 1,400.
Yeah, and you haven't even you haven't even had to move essential surgeries off the table. No. I mean, you haven't even had to do all that. You have room to grow in your ICUs. I hope you don't have to use it. Will Texas, in any way, shape, or form, Dan Patrick, shut down because of this spike? Will it?
Well, Governor Abbott was very clear in his announcement today that we put a pause on elective surgeries to make sure we have plenty of room. But we're not stepping backwards. And our pause button that we've taken here, Laura, we're already 75% open in our restaurants, 50% in almost every business. People are out there and about. It's one of the reasons the cases are up with young people. They actually, about Memorial Day, said, I've had enough living with my parents. I'm going out. And they're socializing. And we wish they would social distance as they do that. But that's been the big reason for the spike. And just to close the loop on the ICU cases, when they say in Texas, well, it's 90, 95% full, that's with non-COVID patients. So as those cases end, we have plenty of room, plenty of room for
Dan,
COVID patients.
You just, in about 3 or 4 minutes, this is because Dan has a long history in radio, too, so he knows how to. You clarified so much that has been confused, purposely confused by the media. Thank you for doing this tonight. We're going to keep tracking this over the next few weeks. We're going to check back with you next week, Dan. And tell Governor Abbott, no closing this state down. No can do. Can't do it. Got to move forward. Do your best.